god, here we go. This is gonna be a hell of a ride. Now, as a little bit of context for the next 4 goddamn hours of destruction you're gonna witness, I reviewed every episode of this series in order in 2021, except the series opener. So later on in this video, you're gonna hear a lot of, this is good for X, because it sets up for Y later. But for the series opener, I'm not gonna do that, because I already know that everything that gets set up is a colossal failure by the end. So keep that in mind as we go forward. But for now, it's time to begin reviewing Doctor Who Series 9. An absolute failure of television that for some reason I used to actually like, including this god-awful story for some reason. Now, why did I like it? Honestly, I don't know, but way back when I wrote all these reviews, I skipped this story because I just couldn't be bothered with it at the time. Even though I thought I liked it, but I honestly didn't know why I felt like that. But now, with the hindsight of the whole series, and hearing a lot of arguments made against this episode, I think I know exactly why I skipped it. And if this is anything like the rest of Series 9, then it'll be a completely illogical, inconsistent mess from start to finish, with barely any cohesion throughout, which would not surprise me in the slightest. But considering I'm keeping the most dedicated and loyal of you for over 4 hours today, I should probably stop with the preamble and actually start reviewing The Magician's Apprentice. So this episode starts on a battlefield with both lasers and bows and arrows. I wonder who's going to win this confrontation. Meanwhile, this is going on. For some reason, there's a child in the war zone. Why? And how is there a child in the war zone? Well, apparently he just got lost. You know how you avoid getting lost? Walking in the other direction to the fucking laser fire! So the black guy dies first, showing off the first of this series' horrendously rushed production. Seriously, when he gets pulled down by one of these hands, which, to be fair, are fairly creative and they do look pretty cool for what they are, this effect is awful. So the Doctor throws the sonic screwdriver at the child so they can speak to each other, while trying to convince him to walk forward with a 1 in 1,000 chance of survival. I mean, wow. What a great way to save this kid instead of just, oh, I don't know, maybe just shooting and killing these hand things? And you might be thinking to yourself that the Doctor doesn't carry guns, or weapons, or anything, so why would he do that? Well, why the fuck would he make this kid risk his life with 1,000 to 1 odds instead of just getting a weapon? I know I'm jumping ahead here, but that's literally what he does in the end of part 2 anyway. So what was even the point of trying to make this little shit take such a massive risk? Literally 12's first scene in Series 9, and he's acting like an out-of-character moron. I love this show. So it's revealed to us that this kid is actually Davros, and this shocks the Doctor naturally, which actually has the potential to lead somewhere interesting. I hope this story does loads of interesting stuff with that in the future. Although, doesn't this story sort of immediately create a massive plot hole for every fucking story that Davros has ever appeared in, since in all of them, he has the sonic screwdriver, but he just doesn't use it in any way, or at any point, for no apparent reason. Like, I'm not going to rewatch the classic Who Davros stories because I might be somewhat dedicated to making content, but don't be ridiculous. But literally, just in Journey's End, couldn't Davros have just flipped the stupid switches back that made the Daleks malfunction? Couldn't he have put the holding cells back up? Used the Sonic to flip the control back into his own arm, which he couldn't use for some reason? You know, fucking anything! But nah, Davros just has this extremely useful piece of equipment for probably hundreds of years, yet he never decided to do anything with it. How insanely in character for someone who we're meant to believe is smart. You stupid hefty bitch! Also, realistically, how the fuck is the Doctor even here on Skaro? Isn't it meant to be time locked like Gallifrey? Yes, I know Gallifrey was saved, but Skaro wasn't. How is he even here? Wow. Another massive plot hole which ruins the Time War narrative even further than it had already been destroyed at this point. What perfect foreshadowing for the end of the series. We're literally 5 minutes in, by the way. So after the first of many out-of-sync title sequences in this series we'll see, We get a montage of this clapped reptile fuck going around to different places asking for the doctor, before he starts cooming so much that he becomes a snake.
Let's boot it up, ladies and gentlemen.
While it's cool to see the Shadow Proclamation again, it, unfortunately, or fortunately depending on how you look at it, just acts as another reminder of how terrible the world building has been in this era compared to Russell's. Where there was always a sense of galactic law being abided by. It was something always referenced even from Series 1 all the way till the end. Whereas in the Moffat era, the Doctor is just as quick to do those crimes as he is to take down those who commit them. It also just comes off as more Moffat fanwank fan service, because the scene serves no real narrative purpose other than being like, ooh, Davros wants the Doctor, which could have been established on Khan, which would actually be more relevant to the narrative because Moffat, well, at least attempted to have these dunces be a consistent part of his era. He always failed at this, as he never really established who any of them are or any of their actual motives, but at least there was an attempt.
Well, that wasn't even an attempt! That wasn't even an attempt!
When he gets to Khan, he's told to give his message to the Doctor, from Davros to her. Don't know why his powers don't work here, especially considering there wasn't even an attempt to explain as to why. And considering this motherfucker can actually teleport, it also begs to question how the fuck he even got here! And on that note of shit not making sense, how the fuck is Davros even alive? As far as I remember, which could be very well wrong, because I haven't seen this story in like 2 years, I swear, this story doesn't even attempt to explain how Davros survived the events of the Series 4 finale. How is there actually this many plot holes 10 minutes into the episode? So we cut to boring stupid Clara being a boring stupid self, terrible banter, casual homophobia, until she realizes a plane is frozen in the sky, and to make sure she's not just seeing things, she draws a circle on the window. Because that's a totally normal thing to do. So UNIT call into her school and say if she can't be got, they would be put through to the Prime Minister? First of all, great way of keeping UNIT somewhat secretive, and what a great way for Clara to keep her life with the Doctor, well, you know, not an open secret. So when Clara gets to UNIT, she says she hasn't tried to call the Doctor yet because they don't know enough yet, and he doesn't appreciate gossip. Gossip!
Gossip.
Bitch! Every plane around the fucking planet has frozen in mid-air. I don't think it's unfair to assume that this has something to do with something alien. It's a little bit more than gossip, don't you think? Honestly, this insufferable cunt never fails to piss me off with her passive nature to such serious events. Bro really thinks she's Rose. Like, don't get me wrong, the scene of her deducing shit on her own would be good for her eventual arc, if her eventual arc was better thought out and realised throughout the series. And also, imagine if this intelligence was better justified through her past appearances. Which it isn't. So it really just begs the question as to why she's suddenly so much smarter than her Series 7 self. And her Series 8 self, with no through line between the two. Are you beginning to see the problem with this character already? So we find out that Missy is using the Doctor channel to contact UNIT.
Out of square window.
What the hell was that? How did she do that?
Very, very good question, Kate. But my question more so is, how the fuck did this make it to air? Seriously, this production value is fucking embarrassing. Like, how is there seriously people whose job it is to quality check and they let shit like this get through? While I love Missy organising her own snipers, as that's actually a very in-character thing for the Master to do, even though later on it doesn't make sense. Considering how overconfident they are, I hate how they just skip past the whole, oh yeah, I'm alive by the way thing. And they never address it in this part of the story, even in the next scene. Now don't you worry, I know they address it in part 2 and oh, don't you worry, there'll be a whole rant about that. But for now, I imagine it was pretty fucking annoying that for a whole week, Missy was just back, and people never found out how she was back. Especially considering it undermines one of the few good scenes from Death in Heaven. Also, I please beg that no one says they didn't explain how the Master came back in Utopia, considering the completely different contexts to both returns. So Clara goes to Missy, and I can't lie, Missy is still very entertaining here in these scenes.
How's your boyfriend? Still tremendously dead, I expect.
Oh!
How come you're still alive? Death is for other people, dear.
Oh!
Would you like to sit in the shade? I know how you humans burn.
Especially because of the performance by Michelle Gomez, who stands out a lot here since Jenna Coleman has been about as expressive as a static TV. But the scene does also show something unfortunate about Missy in this story, and that's that she's very much a flanderized version of herself. What do I mean by this? Well, remember how in Series 8 Missy still felt like the Master, but she had her own different quirks that made her distinctive enough from the others to stand on her own, and everything she did had some deeper meaning to it? Well, here, she still has some of those things, except the deep meaning stuff is taking a back seat to the quirks. Like, she has no real motivation throughout this scene, or the whole story, really. She's just sort of there, and along for the ride. But, like, why? So she shows Clara the confession dial, which is a whole bag of worms that ends up making no sense later on, but it doesn't really have much relevance to this story, so I'm gonna pretend I didn't see it.
See that couple over there? You're the puppy.
Based? Yeah, it's based.
He's not your friend. You keep trying to kill him.
He keeps trying to kill me.
I mean, that's just not true.
He's your busy mate, and I'm supposed to believe that you've turned good. Good?
No!
You have no idea how refreshing these scenes are after the trash fire that is Series 10's handling of Missy. So Missy releases the planes to make Clara believe her that she needs her help, which is a bizarre turn of events considering that A, why would Missy need Clara's help for anything? 2, why would she claim the planes are the only thing keeping her alive when she's the one who asked for the snipers, and if the Master is as smart as she's made out to be, she should have an easy escape for this. And D, is this scene seriously implying that Clara knows the Doctor better than Missy does? For real? On God. Just like that? How the fuck could Missy not find the Doctor by herself, considering how many times the character has done it in the past effortlessly? It's almost as if this story needed a way to get Clara involved in the plot, and almost as if this series was originally planned to not have a companion in. Which would make sense, considering that almost every story could play out exactly the same without her in, and she serves no real purpose in this, or in fact, most of the other stories. God, you've just gotta love a good Moffat script. It's just a shame he hasn't had one for about 4 years at this point. So Missy teleports the two of them back in time to where the Doctor is while making a cringe comment. Honestly, I have no idea why she brought both of them back here, considering she should have no interest in Clara at all. And it's also never explained how or why Clara has a vortex manipulator, because we aren't shown UNIT giving her one, and I highly doubt the Doctor just gave her one.
Hey, I need that. I can't have you walking around with a time-traveling teleport. I told you, no teleport.
But given the 12th Doctor's erratic and stupid behaviour throughout his entire run, if he did let her have one, it honestly wouldn't surprise us. Speaking of the 12th Doctor's erratic and stupid behaviour, he then rocks up on a fucking tank playing an electric guitar. And I know that this is a word that I probably use way too often, but this moment is the epitome of cringe. Everything about this is completely incongruous to everything the Doctor stands for and everything that the 12th Doctor was in Series 8. Seriously, like, 12 wasn't the best Doctor in Series 8 or anything. In fact, he also suffered with a lot of the same issues that's plagued the 11th Doctor's character and the later two versions of the 12th Doctor. But looking at all of them, the 12th Doctor in Series 8 had one consistent aspect, and that's that he was a grumpy twat who wouldn't accept anyone's bullshit. And this was incredibly refreshing compared to the previous Doctors, which made me like him in the first place. He was fucking hilarious, and his grumpy behaviour usually had some excellent wit behind it, and he never took it too far. And it suited Capaldi's acting style perfectly.
Kiss my sweaty balls, you fat fuck.
But here, not only is this incredibly unfunny, Not only is it out of character, but it just radiates second-hand embarrassment whenever he does shit like this. Not just for the character, but for the actor playing the character. And it only gets worse as time goes on. Why would you bother making the Doctor so drastically different in Series 8 if you were just going to make him a character of the already characteristic 11th Doctor? And the worst part about this scene is that it just goes on and on and on. Guitar playing, cringy joke, my honest reaction to that information, crowd interaction. Like, Jesus Christ, will you just get the fuck on with it? We're already more than halfway through this story, and practically nothing has happened yet. Yet, everything that has happened has been fucking awful!
Introduced the word dude several centuries early.
Oh, Jesus Christ, will you fucking shut up? Nobody gives a shit! Am I right? I'm not wrong. This is fucking dog shit. Yeah, you keep going, no one cares. I can't.
How did you know I was here? Did you see me?
Probably because you and Missy are the only people not in the stands. Might have something to do with it.
What, one face in all of that crowd?
There was a crowd too.
I mean, he's been with you for a long time, and you have a very distinctively round face compared to the rest of the crowd, so you're not that hard to miss.
Wow, we're doing charm as well now, are we? Which one of us is dying?
Both of you, hopefully. So the Doctor hugs Clara and completely destroys one of the few subtleties from the Series 8 finale.
Why don't you like hugging, Doctor?
Never trust a hug. It's just a way to hide your face. I heard they say hugging is a great way to hide your face.
Seriously, could this moment not have been made 1,000 times more effective if we'd just seen a bit of subtle emotional acting from Capaldi while his face was hidden, only for him to go back to hiding his emotions like he did before? Another one of the reasons the 12th Doctor was originally compelling completely sent down the drain. He was mysterious and hid his emotions, a complete contrast to the previous 3 incarnations, which made him distinct. But nope. Because this is clearly so much better, isn't it?
No! The day before, in a long scarf. I spent all day yesterday in a bow tie.
Do you get it? Reference to the past! Now clap, peasant! So this ginger twat starts choking, and the clapped reptile fuck appears again. But this time he unravels himself to reveal that he's just a big snake. Well, that's fucking lame, and this CGI is unacceptable for 2015. Not only do they make no effort to show on his sides where there should be his eyes, nose and mouth, but this thing looks practically unrendered, and it's just such a waste of potential with a cool design. I have no idea why this example is the one that came to mind, but imagine if it was like that ghost fucker from Ben 10 who turned rogue, and his insides were just made up of like snake-like tentacles. That would be far more effective than just big snake go. So the snake nest in a dress agrees not to harm anyone, so he takes the Doctor with him to go see Davros. After the Doctor finds out that Davros remembers the Doctor ditching him as a child. And somehow, despite having a friendship that, in her own words, is older than Earth's civilization and infinitely more complex, Missy doesn't recognise the expression on the Doctor's face, which is very obviously shame because... Christ, get this. She's apparently never seen it before.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Ignoring how obviously bullshit that is, literally off the top of my head, The Planet of Fire. Shit story, don't watch it. But when the 5th Doctor lets the Master die for seemingly no reason because he doesn't have a character motivation that isn't invented through Big Finish, he very clearly has a look of shame on his face for what he's doing. I don't even like Classic Who. I don't even fucking watch it anymore, and I haven't done for over 2 years at this point. Yet, even I have a better knowledge on it than someone who was showrunner for 7 fucking years! Oh, and to make this moment even worse, Clara recognizes this expression the nanosecond he pulls it. Stop implying that Clara knows the Doctor better than Missy, you fucking burger! And of course, since this episode couldn't feel any more poorly paced and padded, we have to get an unnecessary flashback to stuff that happened not even 30 minutes ago! How stupid do you think the audience is? Seriously, as if anyone that isn't a fucking fish could have forgotten what the Doctor did in the opening of the fucking episode! So the Doctor goes to the obvious trap he's apparently prepared for. Right. And Missy and Clara go with him because they can. After they teleport, we're shown one of the cringe Muppets from before uncover the TARDIS, and this whole time he was actually one of those stupid half-converted human Dalek things from Asylum. You've gotta be taking the fucking piss right now, you diuretic thunder-thighed slag! You were seriously a Dalek this entire time, yet you just let the Doctor goof around and act like a dumbass for 3 weeks straight because... And you didn't inform the snake bitch where he was immediately because... Even though Davros is on a timer because he's ancient and could die at any moment, you felt the need to wait all this time because... Moffat, my guy, my dude, my home slice, I like you. Believe it or not, I really do. You seem like a lovely fella, but you would have to do the fucking golden mile there and back twice to convince me you gave a single shit about this show. Seriously, how on fucking earth did this episode not get redrafted at least once? This is such a blatant contradiction and plot hole that actually serves no purpose to the story other than to make the narrative even messier than it already is, just to have the cool reveal moment of, ooh, look at the spooky thing you remember from the worst Dalek story ever. Aren't the Daleks so smart and clever? Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, we're about to see how clever you write the Daleks in this story. And number 2, after this review, I'm genuinely unsure whether Asylum is the worst Dalek story or not. So the Doctor, for no reason, explains to Clara what the Daleks are. Well, no reason except seemingly getting this line for the trailer.
But who made Davros?
So they arrive at what first appears to just be a ship, and it looks like a giant tit. So we then get what I thought was going to be a good moment where Clara calls out the Doctor for lying about Missy's death in the end of Series 8. Despite the fact that the way Missy ended up surviving in that story is really, really stupid, we'll get to it when we discuss The Witch's Familiar. This was a good moment of Clara calling out the Doctor for clearly knowing that Missy survived. However, it is then immediately ruined by Clara being a pretentious pig by saying, "Don't apologise, make it up to me." As if he owes you fucking anything after all he's done to you and all you've mistreated him. Honestly, these two are just as bad as each other, but Clara goes about it in such a pretentious way that honestly, it is so fucking annoying to watch. It makes her character insufferable at times. I say at times, most of the time. Oh, and to make this even worse, after the Doctor leaves, Missy is deducting stuff about where they are because of the gravity, and Clara is just bitching about the Doctor and Missy being friends?
How can you and the Doctor be friends?
Why shouldn't we be?
You
Oh,
spend your time...
Jesus Christ, will you fucking shut up? Nobody gives a shit!
This pretentious slutbag seriously only cares about herself. Like, why is she still so pressed about the Doctor sending the confession dial to Missy and not her? Fucking get over yourself. You are a grown woman and you're acting like a 12-year-old girl. And as fucking if her only justification for them not being friends is that they fight all the time, where the fuck have you been for the last series and a half? I mean, you specifically probably weren't conceived yet, since Clara is 3 different characters in every series she appears in, but in case you forgot, literally all you do is fight with the Doctor! The Snowmen, the Bells of St. John, the Rings of Akaten, Cold War, Hyde, Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, The Crimson Horror, Nightmare in Silver, The Name of the Doctor, The Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, Deep Breath, Into the Dalek, Robot of Sherwood, Listen, Time Heist, The Caretaker, especially the caretaker, especially Kill the Moon, Mummy on the Orient Express, Flatline, Forest of the Shite, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, and Last fucking Christmas! Every single episode this version of Clara has appeared in. Regular, boring, modern day Clara, and she has bickered with or argued with the Doctor in every single one of them. And it's not like this is Nine and Rose where the bickering is a part of the story and shown the contrast of the characters, and they eventually grow and learn from this as time goes on. No, a lot of the time these two just bicker over petty, irrelevant bullshit, and it is agonizing to watch. Yet, Clara can't wrap her head around the Doctor and Missy being friends because they fight all the time. Fucking seriously! So the Doctor goes to Davros and they do nothing but state the obvious and waffle on for a solid minute until Davros plays clips of Davros from the past. Hey, remember when the show was good? That was a really long time ago. A really long time since reminding us of things from the past was used for anything but key jangling bullshit. Though I can't lie, Davros is setting up to be quite interesting in this story, as he's in such sharp contrast to his usual self, which could often devolve into just generic evil shouty man in a buggy. This time around, he's quiet. He speaks really slow and just seems exhausted from life. It creates really good juxtaposition for the character, and I really hope they don't just revert him into his former self, completely negating the point of this entire story for no reason other than a shock twist. Because that would be fucking ridiculous, wouldn't it? So when Missy and Clara leave, it's revealed that the terrible green screen they're on is actually Skaro. Oh my god. And to put it simply, how the fuck is Skaro here? Like, genuinely how? Yes, Gallifrey was saved, but Skaro wasn't. What, they just built it again? Pardon the French. But how the fuck do you build an entire planet again and not a single dumb motherfucker even notices it? Are you fucking serious? Wow, that Dalek looks terrible. So remember Moffat's fanwang for Asylum being basically just that we get to see all the old Daleks again? And that's cool. And yes, while that is cool, in the story the presence of the old Daleks actually makes no difference. Well, the same applies here. Like, there's a bunch of classic Daleks that look awful with their updated eye stalks. Did they ever do anything of note? Nope. The Special Weapons Dalek is here, and does that do anything of note? Nope. The Supreme Dalek, who, even despite Journey's End being shit, he actually had a presence and always felt like a threat. He's here. And does he do anything? Nope. Do they explain how he came back? Nope. Fucking Dalek Sec is here. Dalek motherfucking Sec! Motherfucking sausage-headed Dalek Sec is here. And does he do anything? Well, what do you fucking think? Seriously, what is the point of bringing back all these specific characters, some of which had very distinctive characters that made them stand out to be unique in their own right, and just reduce them to not even cameos, but just background fodder? If you want to have the outcome of something look cool, you've got to at least have the setup make sense and have them do the things that made them cool in the first place. Why are you so bad at your job? Also, another huge contrivance in this story is, why would the Daleks even bring the TARDIS here if all they were going to do with it was destroy it? I hope it's not just there as a convenient way for the Doctor and Clara to escape, because that would be really annoying. You know what, I've done this bit about 7 times now, I'm not even going to finish a joke. So Missy logically explains a reason why they should keep her alive, so naturally they ignore her and seemingly kill her. LeMayo. And as if the 12th Doctor hadn't been fucking reduced and ruined enough from his only good version in Series 8, he then gets down on his fucking knees and begs Davros not to kill Clara. I'm sorry, but this is utterly absurd. In fact, no, it's just foolish. Actually, no, it's detestable. Actually, you know what? It doesn't fucking matter what it is, because we can all agree this is pathetic! As if the fucking Sigma male template before that was even a meme would get down on his knees and fucking beg to anyone. This is just a fucking sludge hole of a scene, and it should honestly rot in hell! Even at their lowest point, I couldn't imagine the Doctor, a character who's infamously big-headed, getting down on his knees and begging for anything without some sort of ulterior motive. I honestly don't believe that any of them are that narrow-minded. So then Clara teleports away just like Missy did, instead of just dying like a normal Dalek laser would. Trust me, there's gonna be more on that in the next review. But I was just having a think. And doesn't a lot of this story's beats sound awfully familiar to Bad Wolf? Hidden Dalek fleet not revealed until the end of the episode. Fake out companion's death, but instead they teleport. How can this episode be so blatantly ripping off story beats from a much superior story, yet be fucking them up so royally? So the TARDIS is seemingly destroyed, even though it's just... Ugh. Oh, and then the cliffhanger to the episode is the Doctor seemingly going to shoot Child Davros. Yeah, right, sure. As if we're ever meant to believe, even for a second, that the Doctor would kill a child. And also, as if this cliffhanger hasn't just spoiled that no matter what happens in the next episode, the Doctor will escape fine. Seemingly in the TARDIS, just so he can go back to Child Davros. So the Witch's Familiar already has zero tension, because we know the Doctor's going to be fine. Haven't I complained about this exact sort of terrible cliffhanger usage before? So, that was The Magician's Apprentice, and oh my god, what an absolute clusterfuck from start to finish. Seriously, I'd heard the argument about why this story as a whole sucked, but they mostly focused on part 2. But even this part of the story absolutely sucks ass. From start to finish, it is absolutely riddled with contrivances, stupidity, and utter fucking nonsense. Seriously, almost every single scene in the story has something in it that makes actually no sense. Like, there is no chance in hell that this story was anything other than a first draft, because the amount of nonsense in it is fucking absurd. Like, how would the Doctor even get to Skaro? How is Skaro back? Why would Missy stop the planes to get the attention as a troll, only to lose her control to make Clara believe her? Why is Clara a completely different character again? Why is Clara even here? Why does the Doctor act like such a moron and change the course of human history? Why does the Snake Nest look for the Doctor when the Daleks had been spying on him for weeks? Why do the Daleks bring the TARDIS to Skaro just to destroy it? Why is the dialogue so bad? Why is Missy a caricature of herself? Why is the Doctor so out of character and contradictory to what he was before? And why the fuck did I choose to review this garbage instead of just skipping it? Like I originally intended. Fuck my life and fuck everyone watching, because up next... the story is only going to get worse and more catastrophic. Is The Witch's Familiar. It amazes me that this isn't even close to being the worst episode of the series.